They're Canadian.
Oh,
They're
yeah, that's right.
Canadian.
I'm sorry. I forgot.
Hello, Judy. Good morning.
I've been here. Hi, I've been here.
I know. This is the first time we've seen your smiling face, though.
Well, I'm really trying to register for Netflix and it won't let me change my telephone number to a US cell number, and I don't have a Mexican cell number.
Wow, what do you need a Mexican phone number for in the first place? It's just
They want to send me a confirmation to sign up for Netflix.
Do you have a Skype number?
Not a Mexican number.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, Mexican. Well, if you want, you can give them mine.
Okay, and then you'll give me the code?
Yeah.
Okay, what's yours?
It's 622-855-8299.
Okay, I'll try putting that in and see what happens.
Yeah.
Could you say that again slower? I have a few things I want to sign up for.
That's awesome. Well, welcome one and all. This is the San Carlos Computer Club. I'm Scott Stimson, your interminable host. You've been stuck with me today, 2 years of virtual meetings. And as you can see, Sid and I are sitting next to each other, but not eating chilaquillas in tequilas.
Yeah.
We still have not organized an in-person meet at tequilas, so we're still doing these meetings virtually. Thank you for being with us today. So I have sent out, and I'll do it one more time, a link to the document that we typically use as just kind of a reference. We don't have to go through everything on it, but there's stuff on it that I thought might be interesting, people might find interesting. You look in your in-call messages in this Google Meet, you should be able to click right to the document of potential topics, possible topics. And I am interested in any topics that you guys may have brought, any questions or troubleshooting that we need to do as a group, any solutions that we can come up with. Now is the time to bring them up.
I'm thinking that I need to do this from my laptop rather than my iPad, so I'm going to try it that way.
Oh, okay. Is it not giving you the same?
No.
Well, while Judy's doing that, let me just reiterate, we discovered it's International Women's Day today, so we're celebrating International Women by having 2 in our group.
Yeah, that's helping.
Your mother normally tries very hard to join the group, but she's still in bed, so maybe maybe she's aware of the International Womanhood thing.
That's right. She's in full celebration.
I think I don't know if she must have been celebrating last night. I can normally tell when she's up during the middle of the night because she will have had a cup of chocolate. And so that cup of chocolate was empty chocolate, was sitting out in the kitchen. So I think she must have had a bad night. So
Oh, no.
she hasn't slept in this late in a long time. But Scott, I wanted to mention that I've got a topic I would like to share when it's appropriate. An article in Kiplinger magazine this month that says why you should put your credit reports on ice. So I'll share that whenever you think it's appropriate.
Well, this is the time, and I'd find that interesting. I from the title, it sounds like the idea is to freeze your credits, your credit reporting. Is that right?
Yes, that is correct.
Tell us about it, Pop.
Okay, well, I'm going to read you a little bit of the article. This says, it's a refrain that has appeared in our pages time and time again, and it's worth repeating. So many of you probably are already aware of this. A credit freeze is the most effective way to prevent certain types of identity theft. When your credit report is frozen, lenders can't view it in response to an application for new credit. So a criminal who tries to open a loan or credit card in your name is unlikely to succeed. The case for protecting your identity is as strong as ever, given that number of data breaches hit a record high in 2021, according to the Identity Theft Resource Center. But many consumers are dragging their feet. Although more than 3/4 of the respondents to our survey said that they were familiar with credit freezes, only 29% had ever used one or placed one. Reasons they cited for not using a credit freeze included a lack of need for one and confusion or difficulty with process. Some consumers also had misconceptions about freezes, with fears that a freeze would negatively affect a credit score. It doesn't. And that freezing or thawing a credit report is too expensive. It's free of charge. And then it goes on to say how you freeze the credit reports. And they've got the phone numbers for each of the 3 credit agencies and so forth. And it says if you just call them or go online, you can go through the process with them. And have any of you done that?
Frozen your credit reports?
report? Okay, I just was struck by what I thought it was really a good idea, especially, if you're not trying to take out a loan or something like that right now.
Pop, if I can reaffirm that thinking, there's a security expert I follow weekly, and he's a strong proponent of freezing credit reports. He recommends it all the time. He does admit it's a lot easier for like middle-aged and senior people to because they're pretty much they're positioned. They've got their vehicles, they've got their houses. They occasionally need to ask for money again, and so when they do, then you unfreeze your credit, and it's fairly innocuous. It's not an inconvenience to know that I'm going to go borrow money and to go unfreeze your report. Whereas we're younger people just getting out of college, they're having their credit checked all the time for things they're getting into. And it becomes much more inconvenient for a younger generation to constantly be freezing and unfreezing for their situation. But he's a security expert I've listened to for years. He follows all the ransomware, tells you how to plug holes. And one of the holes that he talks about is this freezing your credit report. And the reason is because, like you were stating earlier, it's one of the first places that you notice identity theft. If you pay attention to it, they need to do a credit check on somebody that's asking for money. And so if they're going to take out money for any kind of, for a car, for property, anything like that, they're going to get a credit check done. And if they can't check your credit, they can't give them the money in your name. So it's a good security tip.
Well, and we're so fortunate because all of us are probably age relevant.
Yes.
You getting feedback from me?
No, I think I saw it coming across Paul's speakers, but I don't see Paul there. So we're listening for him.
Okay.
The only thing I can remember that you needed a credit report for was for auto insurance or home insurance. The insurance companies always check your credit rating.
Well, that's an interesting thought there, Chester. I wonder if folks like ourselves that frequent the United States and Mexico, I know my insurance gets turned on and off at fairly regular intervals. And maybe if I had mine, I don't have my credit report frozen, but maybe if I did, I'd have to make a point of unfreezing it when I go to buy car insurance again.
Sounds like you would.
That's possible, but so what? It's not a big deal.
Right. Yeah, it'd probably be a big deal if I was doing it every 30 days, but doing it every 6 months isn't that big of a deal.
The other thing you could keep in mind is the big deal is if somebody got into your credit. So it's a pretty good motivator to think about doing it.
My credit is more like malware itself. If someone got into my identity, I good luck. I feel sorry for the creditors that are coming after them. No, I just kid.
Right.
Well, since we still haven't done in-person meetings, I do still have a list of protocols that we're planning on following. At some point, you can find them in every one of the documents that I have sent you. They're always attached to the bottom, and at some point, we might have an in-person meeting. But Sid and I have been having too much fun, and I've been working as well, and I just have not organized it. We have not been to Tequila's to test our equipment, and consequently, we're not doing it from Tequila's, right? One of the topics that I brought that I found this week very entertaining, it's also one of my recommendations for a TV show, is, the $1 Billion Code. And I'm bringing this up now because I put a link in here called Terravision versus Google Earth. And this TV show, The $1 Billion Code, is a dramatization of the story of a German firm back in the mid-90s building a Google Earth clone before there was ever a Google Earth. And the court case they did in what was it, 2014, 15? Where they took Google to court for infringing on their patent. And it's very interesting history. And what's amazing, and I put the link here under questions and topics, you can go to the company that in 1995 had do you guys know what I'm talking about when I say Google Earth? I'm not sure if anybody's spent any real time with it, but I mean, it's this globe that you fly into, and one of the most interesting things about it is how quickly it magnifies out of these satellite maps down to street level, and how smooth that feeling is. It's almost this feeling of flying from space to land on a street and your journey there. And so they had really high plans, big plans with it. And they were hoping to do work with Silicon Graphics, at the time, the only hardware that was possible to run this stuff. They gave big presentations on this stuff. And then it was just kind of not taken seriously. It wasn't, they knew where they wanted to go with it, and they were working that direction, but they weren't getting a lot of help. And then out of the blue, Google Earth pops up. And it's been designed by one of the people they originally were trying to collaborate with. And so it's about a 4-part miniseries. It's a dramatization. I think it's a German production because it feels like large sections of it are dubbed in English. But there are definitely English speakers in it, but there's large sections where it's obvious they've been dubbed in English. And what's really neat, and I'd follow the link, is looking at the video between what Terravision, that's what their product was called, in 1995 looks like compared to Google Earth in 2011. And how very, very similar, how they were doing the same thing 16 years earlier. And it's another example of a big tech corporation, acquiring somebody else's technology and calling it their own.
Did they have street level?
In 1995, I think they were limited to whatever the satellite images were at the time. If you were to show off that version in this day and age, I believe they would, because the algorithm is what they were battling over. The ability to organize, to receive from decentralized locations these satellite maps and organize them in a structure that could be traversed visually. And the company that did this, they are actually more artists than they were computer people. In fact, the computer was part of their modern art. They got involved in it because they were artists. And they became famous for taking this same concept and applying historical maps to it. And so that's what they've become known for in Europe, is these art demonstrations where you could dial the map to a certain age and look at the global collection of maps that existed for that time period. But it's all based on the same algorithm, the same technology.
That's sort of like the utility of computers was developed not by computer engineers, but by liberal arts students that use the computers at night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, very much so. Well, it's their business is still a business. They're in Germany. Their website has got this information. This is a mini series on Netflix called The Billion Dollar Code, and I think it. Oh, I do have an article in the lineup called The Billion Dollar Code: David versus Goliath Battle, and it's a Wired article from 20. I think it's 2019. I think this has been around for. I think it's been around for 2 years. But I'd never noticed it, just stumbled across it in Netflix, and then I had to go out and do the research to find out how true it was. It's a
When you're
bit of
ready, I
a
have 2 points.
it's a bit of a Steve Wozniak, Steve Jobs kind of story. You've got two guys, you've got a visionary and you've got a computer coder that built this thing. I'm sorry, Chester, what were you going to add?
Oh, I was just going to say, whenever you're done with this subject, I have a couple of points, a couple of items.
Oh, great. I will. And I think I am done, unless anybody would like to add anything to this. This link is in the lineup. Let's see. This article is from 2021.
Oh, it's got the Netflix trailer.
Yeah. I think it's very interesting computer history. Chester, please, what have you got?
Well, it happened a couple of days ago. Jan asked me to take a look at her computer, and there was a pop-up, and it was from the Microsoft Security Center, saying that they had discovered malware on her computer, and gave a telephone number for her to call to get it sorted out. And fortunately, she came to ask me what she should do. And so I got on my computer and Googled Microsoft Security Center, and come to find out it's a spam.
Yeah.
And then the question was, well, now how do we get rid of it? And what I did, the instructions I got on my computer were really a little bit too complicated. So what I did was I'm trying to find the right word. I removed the Google Chrome program, and that got rid of it. And I reinstalled Google Chrome, and we were fine.
Oh, good. Good. It must have been a plugin that got embedded in your drive, in your Chrome, Google Chrome.
Probably came from something she opened. They got somehow or another got into her computer on some search, or we're just not sure.
Yeah, we really are. It's all about good habits. The problem with good habits is you have to have security in the back of your mind every time you do something. Is this a safe thing to click on? You can't knee-jerk react to anything, because that's what they're trying to do. Is they're trying to get you to click. Anything that's in front of you trying to get you to click is probably malicious.
Well, this was to get you to make a phone call. But,
yeah, well, in the phone call is probably what told you it was suspicious, right?
What first thing I did was to unplug the computer and reboot it, and then we clicked on Google, and here it popped up again. You couldn't get rid of it.
Yeah.
There was no way no way to get rid of it. Finally, what I did was I reduced the size of it on the screen so that I could get to my start icon and got to my programs and deleted Chrome, and that took care of it.
So I'm suspecting that in Chrome you probably could have found a plugin that you could disable and it would go away. There's a chance, but maybe not. Maybe it was even more embedded than that, and you'd have to remove the whole thing. That's the only thing I would probably have done differently, is I would have first looked in the plugins and seen if I could identify a particular malicious one, and then
Well,
removed
I
it.
had trouble getting rid of the screen that was filled up the whole computer screen, and that my biggest problem was getting down to where I could get to the start icon, that I could get to the programs.
You know what's interesting, and we should take a moment to talk about it, but that this is a Windows issue that you're describing, mostly because if this message showed up on a Macintosh, you just laugh at it because it's not Windows, it's not Microsoft, this is Macintosh. But it could show up on that browser just as easily. It just would be very obviously malicious because it'd be talking about a system that it wasn't intended to be on. And I wanted to take a moment, if you can look at my screen, I've just brought up the Windows Security, that's what it's called, Windows Security, Security at a Glance, and this is the screen that shows you the health of your antivirus protection that's built into Windows 10. And you can see these green check marks across these things that would be yellow or red if it was flagging a problem with your Windows security. And this is kind of what I wanted to just readdress, is that we've decided that the Windows security, the embedded security, is the best security that you can be running on a Windows computer. That third-party security programs have merit in certain circumstances, but in general they cannot be as secure as the embedded antivirus software. And you should really become familiar with what it looks like so that you don't inadvertently interpret it as one of these malicious things that you're dealing with, Chester. And the phone number is a telltale sign that you're dealing with, that it's not legitimate. Microsoft never wants to hear from you. They would never give you a phone number to call.
Well, the key words was that the name of this thing was Microsoft Security Center.
Yes.
And that was
and that
key.
just doesn't exist. That's
Well, the first
right.
clue
It doesn't exist.
The first clue to say that this is a bogus notice is, unless you've signed up for some special monitoring, they're never going to contact you. Like if you have Life Alert, they'll send you an email. They may text you. But for something like this, you're on your own.
They never call you. I mean, it's good rules of thumb to always remember. They never call you. They never want to hear from you. So the moment it's easy to talk to Microsoft, you're dealing with something trying to scam you.
But if I didn't have the standby computer that I could research or go to Google and find out what this was, well, you can see a lot of people get caught up in this.
Oh yeah. Well, and you get somebody, and it's well known that the phone number you call is a quasi-legitimate group of IT people working remotely, probably on legitimate contracts. They might actually be giving technical support for Dell or for HP, but on their side, they're making money with these kinds of hustles. And they'll walk you through, they'll get into your computer remotely, they'll walk you into an event log that will show you a bunch of errors, and they'll tell you, see, here's the problem that we're trying to resolve. And then they'll ask you for the credit card number if you want to proceed so that they can take care of these problems. And maybe they solve those problems, but they were never the threat. They were never the threat that they pretend to be. In fact, I could walk you through a computer and show you error messages that would make you think your computer's having problems. And it's not. It's just the way things are reported in a Windows environment. And it isn't a threat, it isn't a concern. But given this set of circumstances, you get really amped up to oh my gosh, my computer's in trouble, I need help. And next thing you know, you're giving them a credit card and getting charged $150 for clearing your error log, something like that.
Well, you couldn't get rid of the pop-up. It would fill your screen every time you rebooted the computer. Your computer would start up, then all of a sudden, here's this full screen.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you did good, because that's what it was. It was in the Chrome browser there that was causing that.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, the point of that is filling the screen, having the pop-up keep coming up, is to make you think this is a real emergency and they're trying to save you. The psychological.
Yeah, it's all psychological. It's really sad, too. I get really infuriated when I think that there's somebody's job in Facebook is to use this technology to encourage you to click on a link in front of you. Like so little I respect about the way they use technology when they're trying to mess with my head so I'll click on a button. And that's what all these malware things are. And that's a legitimate job. That's a legitimate job.
Yeah. Well, it's social engineering.
It's absolutely, it's
Exactly
legitimized social engineering.
Yeah.
Yeah. And these malwares are social engineering as well, but in this case, they're doing illegal stuff.
The second point I wanted to bring up was that as of this morning, the price of regular gasoline here in Phoenix is $4.30.
Holy crap. Phoenix notoriously has some of the cheapest gas in the United States. That's amazing.
Well, the average this morning throughout the United States is $4.17. That's the average.
We're paying 22.5 pesos a liter here. It is it is raised 2 pesos in less than 2 months.
Well, it went up last night throughout the country, and I understand California is now at $7 for regular.
Hey, Scott, it's 22.19.
Oh, 19.
Yes.
It was.
But when we traveled up to Phoenix Mesa area a week and a half ago, we found that it was 16.9 pesos for a liter of regular, closer to kilometer 21.
Sure.
Between kilometer 21 and Mariposa crossing.
That doesn't count. That's Nogales gas, and they compete with the other side. They know you won't buy it, and you'll just go to the other side and buy it. So they have to compete in that Arizona market for gas pricing, and it's allowed. It's the only area in Mexico like that.
Not today. I bet today you'd get a better price in Mexico than you would in
I think you're right, Chester. Yeah.
I have an app. I have an app recommendation. It's called
excellent.
Gas Buddy. And Gas Buddy has a map on it. It tells you today's price, the last reported price. People that use the app put in the price for diesel and for gas. I'm just trying to open it. My phone has deleted it. It's reloading it, which it does regularly. So Gas Buddy.
Gas Buddy. I think I've been on their website before.
According to the app right now,
it is much more useful in the United States than it is in Mexico, because we have the same price just about everywhere. Our gas prices fluctuate by centavos in the market, like between San Carlos, Guaymas, and Palme. They'll only be off by just the smallest, like one centavo or 3 centavos. Not a lot of competition locally.
Right now, the Circle K by the Mariposa crossing says $3.99 a gallon.
And that's all there in Nogales.
Oh, $4.16 on Mariposa Road. We've noticed that the one closest to the border, it's called the Fiesta Market, $4.16. You drive, 2 miles, and it's $3.99.
That station is always the highest. That's all I have.
All right, Chester, thank you. Anybody else have anything they want to contribute to today's meeting?
I have a question. How do you dial an 800 number in the States from Mexico?
That is a great question. We've actually talked about this before.
You just dial it. You just dial it.
So, Judy, how do you dial it?
AT&T. I just dial it.
Right, on your
cell phone.
I have to put a plus. I always have to put the plus first.
Okay, so obviously there's some different circumstances here. The first question is, are you dialing from a Mexican phone or a U.S. phone?
From a Mexican landline.
A Mexican landline. So now you can dial it from a Mexican landline, but you're probably going to pay for it.
Yes.
And you'll pay a minutely rate unless things have changed recently, and you'll have to use these conversion codes. So the 800 will translate into something like an 811 or an 822.
Right.
Like, I think I've got them written down somewhere.
You know, you can call from Skype. Any 800 number is free from Skype.
So that was going to be the next suggestion, is that if you have a Skype account, you can make 800 calls for free. And if you have a US cell phone, you can call 800 numbers with no problem, like Judy's saying. You can just dial them.
Right.
But if it's from a Mexican line, I'm sorry, David.
AT&T cell is free. You get the warning message that you might be charged a fee, but they don't charge you.
Do you have to do the dialing transition?
No.
So you can dial 800 directly with an AT&T Mexican cell phone?
AT&T wireless goes right through with a message warning you you might pay, but their plan for AT&T doesn't make you pay.
That's cool.
Okay.
That's cool. Did not know that. So if you have a Mexican AT&T phone, you don't have to worry about calling 800 numbers.
Well,
in the U.S.
U.S., Mexico, Canada, and it's, $12 a month.
Yeah.
So
I'm looking up those. Oh, yeah,
Not
go ahead,
data
Paul.
unlimited, but text. I have a limited data plan, but unlimited text and phone is $12 a month.
Okay, and then for the Telmex, I believe they're still doing this. If you want to call an 888 number, it's 881. If you want to call an 800 number, it's 880. If you want to call an 866 number, it's 883. And if you want to call an 877 number, it's 882. 888.
And where did you find that?
Oh, gosh, in Telmex's documentation years ago. But when I did the Smartphones for Dummies in 2019, this stuff was still relevant. So I think they still work from a Telmex landline. But you do, or I should say, you have the potential of having to pay for the call. There are sometimes I know I was not charged when I used these conversions. But they can also be a minutely call. That's what they used to be all the time. I think it depends on whose 800 number it is.
So, Paul, you don't have a U.S. cell phone to use in Mexico?
Yes, I do. It's a T-Mobile.
Well, you can dial 800 numbers from that.
Yeah, but this is a friend of mine that doesn't have a cell phone. It just has a landline now. Because his wife's sister needed a cell phone down here.
Oh.
So if you look at our in-call messages, you'll see the conversions that I'm familiar with. And those would...
you listed them? You wrote them down?
Yeah, you can copy them. Oh, you know what? I can put them... I'll copy and paste them into today's messaging or today's document as well.
Well, Scott,
Hey,
the
Jim.
The reason he
numbers
wanted to,
go in reverse order. In other words, 888 is 881, 887 is 2, 882, 866 is 883. And so when they add a new one, like the current is 855 is 884, the new one you can figure out will be 844, and it'll then go, as to how it translates.
oh, okay. But the reason he's trying to call this 800 number is that he tries to order things from Amazon, and Amazon has a phone number in his account for a phone that he no longer has. And so, and he can't change his phone number. And it takes him all day to order something from Amazon, he says, because of the snafu of the phone number.
So he's got a phone number associated with his Amazon account that he cannot get changed.
Right, and when he tries to order something, they say, okay, we're going to send information to your phone number, and he can't see it.
Right. He should be able to
So-
add another number, though, even if he
On
can't
that
get rid of the old one.
So Scott, I was able to do that with my number on my laptop. Yeah, I cannot do it on the iPad, but I was able to put my number in on my laptop.
I'm not sure what you're referring to. You're
Okay,
your
when I was
Skype
going
account?
when I was going to use your cell phone number.
Oh, you were able to do it. So are you waiting for a code?
No. I was able on my laptop to to do it with my own number.
Oh, well, there you go. That you
but
just
not on my iPad.
well, you just provided a solution to a problem we didn't know existed.
Exactly.
The ability to use an international phone number while signing up for Netflix is possible on the website from your computer, but not from an iPad.
Exactly.
That's good to know.
So, Paul, is your friend using an iPad, or is he using some kind of a tablet, or is he using a computer?
A laptop computer.
I'm just making a quick note here of what Judy's discovered. This should be a rule of thumb for anything we're trying to do on a mobile device. If it doesn't look right, if it's not working right, go to a web browser on a regular computer and see if you have the same experience. This is another one of those examples of how you were able to do what you needed to do because you've got a different perspective on it. Hey, we just got our 10-minute warning. We'll keep talking, but at some point we're going to switch over to the other meat code.
A lot of requests for codes like that. When you make them on the computer, they will give you a choice. Do you want to receive the code by email, or do you want to receive it by text message or by a phone call? And so maybe if he were going to the computer, he could solve that problem.
Yeah, it sounds like he needs to associate more identifiers with his account. The only problem would be if they'll use that one identifier that's wrong to verify that it's okay to add more identifiers. If you follow what I mean. If you want to add another phone to your Amazon account, that would fix the problem. But the process of authorizing that other number might require using the only thing on file right now as a verifier. And he doesn't have that in hand. So he may not be able to add another phone number or another email address because it would be trying to send a code to that phone, which is the only thing that's been verified.
That's what happened with me with the iPhone when we had my iPhone crash thing. They said that in 24 hours I would be able to change it. at the end of the 24 hours, they said, in 2 weeks, you'll be able to change your first number. So it was crazy, but we did finally work around it by activating call forwarding, and we did finally get it done, but it was a long process. So adding another number, I think you're right, Scott, it could be a problem if they can't get a hold of you at that first number.
But your goal at this point should be to get another identifier on there so this doesn't happen again. So it might require, if he's got access to his Amazon account, he can choose an item to report to customer support. And you can give them a phone number to call you, or you can get into a chat. But that might be the first step in resolving this, is that they could give you the steps to go through. They might be able to, if you're talking to them on the phone, they might be able to verify you from things like credit card information. So you're not trying to add something through an automated process, but you're talking to a human that can look at your purchase history and your credit card information, and they can do a verification of who you are if that becomes a problem. Paul, you're talking and you're muted.
I wonder if it's not like me to be mute. I wonder if he gives them a Mexican landline number, if they're going to say, "Oh, we'll use Amazon Mexico."
That's a question that you would get into on a personal level, but I don't know if that would make any real difference. And they might go, "Oh, that's a Mexican number. Why aren't you using Mexican Amazon?" But I don't think it matters. I use my Mexican cell phone to verify everything. I don't think he wants to. Here's the other side of what you've just said. I don't think he wants to use a Mexican landline as a verification, because what they typically want to do is send codes, and you just can't do that through a landline.
Oh, yeah, right.
Right? And so I think he needs to get like another email, or maybe he needs to buy a Mexican cell phone. It's really...
That's what I told him, to just get a burner phone.
Yeah, just something that can receive text messages regularly.
Of course, if you get a Mexican cell phone, every time somebody sends you a message, advertising or whatever, it deletes your account, some amount.
No, I don't think that's true.
That's what I heard.
There was a time when you paid for every text message, but now that's just unlimited.
Oh, okay, that's good then.
Yeah. And you can keep a Mexican cell phone going with just like, what is it, 10 pesos every 28 days, something like that?
It's the every 28 days that's a problem, though, unless this person is here.
Well, what I'm doing with the Amigo
This is my
card.
friend that married Esmeralda.
Go ahead, Paul.
This is my friend that married Esmeralda from Tequila's.
Oh, okay. Esmeralda's new husband.
Esmeralda.
Yes,
Esmeralda.
but she should be able to do all this for him. I'm sure she has a cell phone with unlimited.
There you go.
Text.
Just get the messages sent to her cell phone.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, he bought her a cell phone, so.
There you go.
Okay, thanks a lot, guys.
Yeah, in the end, that's what he needs to do. Is he needs to get that number changed. He needs some other form of verification.
Okay.
What else we got going on? How many more minutes do we have before we have to switch meetings? Looks like we have less than 4 minutes. I'm going to wander over to the other meet code just so we're ready to go. I had a funny experience this morning. I turned on a plugin that I use to view web pages as though they're on a mobile device. and I forgot I turned it on. And when I went to start the meet, it wouldn't start it. It kept saying, you can do it on the mobile app. Do you want to download the mobile app? I'm like, well, I'm on my Windows computer, so no, there is no app I want to download. And it turned out it was just this plugin that I use. What's it called? Mobile View. And it lets me just like turn it on, turn it off. It's good for web pages that are intended to be in a phone instead of on a web page on a computer. I have got the other code up. Yes, I do. And I'm going to join now so that it's ready for you guys to transition over.
I click them both right away when I look at the email.
And nobody's over here yet. Oh, here we go. Here's Judy. Paul. Chester. Good orderly movement. Jim's here now. Oh, somebody's got some feedback.
What is that noise?
Jim, I think it's coming out of yours there. I just muted Jim there.
Yeah, stop it.
Don't know what that feedback, what would be causing.
So what was going on? What was the noise that was coming from my computer?
Yeah, you've got an echo that's happening. There's something going on with your audio on that end.
Wait a minute. I know why.
Testing,
Okay.
1, 2.
Okay.
No, I'm still hearing you.
Say okay once.
He's not echoing, but you are, Scott.
Yeah, I'm echoing through his speakers. No, Paul, now I'm echoing through your speakers.
I think you're just echoing.
Right, here, let me mute Paul in there. There. That's what's great about these visual representations is we can see where it's going. Now it's coming through Jim's again. Let's mute that. Testing 1, 2, 1, 2. Well, where is that coming from? Oh, it's coming from over here.
Oh,
Paul,
yeah, you still got the other meeting.
Paul and I are still in the other meeting. Dad is too. Dad, we're moving over to the other meeting. It's Paul that's echoing the rest
You
of
have
it.
to hang up on the other meeting, otherwise
I'm hanging
it's
up.
sitting in two, and it,
Yeah.
yeah, you have to hang up.
There we go.
Or you could end the meeting.
I just did. So the only one that hasn't made it over yet is Dad. So what else we got going on? Let's see. I talked about the Terravision, the $1 billion code. I recommended as a TV show for the recommendations. I also stuck an article that Sid was just reading called "The War is Calling Crypto's Neutrality into Question." This is a Wired article. I read a little bit of it this morning. Sid, did you want to give a little background on this article? I'm pasting it into the meet right now.
So
if you guys want to bring it in front of you.
That crypto was supposed to be the ultimate neutral currency because no bank could control it, no government could control it. It was just free to use. And
Can't
now
hear.
we have. Oh, you can't hear me? Now can you hear me?
Better.
Scott's mic
Sorry, too
is
far
really
from the
low.
mic. But they were talking about how. Then it goes into how the Russians right before the run up to the invasion had changed their policy on crypto and started telling businesses and people to start using it, and that there wouldn't be any more problems from the government about using it. And then the invasion happens. So they're trying to use it as an end run on sanctions and money transfers. And you have the president of Ukraine saying that everyone needs to stop taking any crypto payment from a Russian source. But you also have the Ukrainian government. They're relying heavily on crypto for donations. And then we have, what was it? Bitcoin for deserters.
Yeah, that we talked
Yeah.
about that last week,
Yeah.
was that Ukraine was offering some of their Bitcoin donations to any Russians that would surrender and hand over a tank. They were offering individuals up to $45,000 of Bitcoin for Russians to surrender.
Yeah. And then the rest of the article is about just debating the neutrality of it all. And can it maintain neutrality in this situation?
I didn't make it all the way through the article before our meeting started, but the neutrality being called into question isn't a technical problem with neutrality. It's the way people perceive their own neutrality using Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Because it's decentralized, nothing can really stop it. So the leader of Ukraine can say, hey, stop accepting Bitcoin payments from these Russian people, because we're waging a political war with them. We're a social war with them because we can't win an actual war with them. We're going to wage a social war with them. At the exact same time, this article points out that Russia was encouraging their people to start investing and using Bitcoin for their economy, which at the moment, this is kind of hedging up to this war. Seems like pretty good foresight if you were concerned you were going to get cut off economically from the rest of the world. At least internally, Russia could be functioning. They could be replacing the ruble with Bitcoin as their form of payment. I don't think it's very realistic. Maybe in the short term it gives some kind of security as a concept, but in the long term it doesn't seem very realistic. It would allow them to maintain their economy inside, and I can only speculate that maybe that's to appease Russians, to not be worried about the influence of outside economy on the ruble, and make them more comfortable with this war that's going on instead of fighting against it. The goal of bringing Russia out of SWIFT and trying to cut ties economically is to make Russia hurt, and that hurts all the way down to the pocketbooks of normal people like you and me, normal Russians. What do you got here? Something else?
Yeah.
Okay.
Article on interesting engineering. They're using the new hexacopter.
Well, yeah, save it. We'll go on.
Oh, well, they're using it to clean solar.
Yeah, but you're not even listening to me.
Yeah, stuff we've already covered. Anyhow, well, he just got the solar panels cleaned yesterday. That's why it caught my eye. They're using this drone for that. They've got a little robot built that crawls up and down the panel. They use a copter drone to pick up the robot and move it on to the next set of panels.
Great.
Fine, we'll put it in
we'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah, that'll work. Next.
Anyway, it's very interesting how crypto is being interpreted during this war that's going on, and how the one thing I found fascinating about this is that Russia was encouraging their people to get into Bitcoin leading up to invading Ukraine. You think maybe Putin was thinking this is the reason he could just stub his nose to the world economy, is because he thought he had this covered?
Yeah.
This isn't a solution for the oligarchies.
Well, here's the biggest problem with it all. They're still using Russian oil. Russian oil is still flowing. Until that stops, Putin still has money coming in.
Yeah, I saw an article the other day that Shell just bought oil from Russia, even though they said they weren't going to.
And Biden just spoke on this, and we are not going to buy Russian oil anymore.
We receive 2% of our oil imports from Russia, and it's all petrochemical, advanced petrochemical. So we have, we can say all we want, but it doesn't matter.
It's not. What you're saying is it's a political stance. It's not an economical stance. There's nothing that should change because of that 2% missing. Of course, it seems like a great opportunity to raise gas prices in the United States because of this fear of not having oil available.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's
And
like,
a lot of people are believing that we're buying like 30 or 40% of our oil from Russia.
No, but that
I
sounds
just
more
heard
like a
that-
Europe number. Isn't that the Europe number? 30%?
Europe's like
It is.
90%.
Yeah.
So it is not, but these people firmly believe that that was the case, even though when you send them an article and it says, this is what we buy from Russia, they don't believe it.
That's
what-
just our society now.
What they should not
Yeah.
believe is how much we buy from Saudi Arabia, because that's where we're getting our oil from.
Mexico,
Canada,
Venezuela.
And Canada and Mexico.
We're still buying oil from Venezuela, even though we have sanctions.
Well, this was an article about crypto, how it's changing in the face of war and what it's being used for. And, you know, they start this article with whose side is cryptocurrency on is the tongue-in-cheek question. And really, it's not supposed to be on anybody's side, unlike a fiat currency that can totally take sides.
Well, it's controlled by banks and governments.
Crypto is not.
Yeah.
And I think in the long run it's a problem for them because you can't change large sums of money because people won't accept them. So you might be able to function in Bitcoins, but how are you going to bring it out into currency? As long as you're buying pizzas with Bitcoin, it's not a problem. But when you're trying to like pay yacht fees and, you know, invest in property, it becomes a real problem because it's got to convert into some national currency. And
That would be
nobody's
my
going to
comment. It's insignificant.
say that again, Chester.
In the real world, it's insignificant as to what they can do with Bitcoin.
Yeah,
Because all the banks are now stopping any ruble. So the only thing they can do is internally within Mexico use credit cards or debit cards. And can't go outside of not Mexico. I'm sorry, I meant Russia.
Yeah, we knew what you meant, Chester. I was going to correct you, but we knew what you meant. Yeah, absolutely. And maybe they can prop up their economy like this. Maybe this can give them like everything that you're exchanging on bank cards and maybe it's all backed by Bitcoin at this point. The government's standing behind that, and so that gives some confidence inside their borders. But they have to deal with the outside world, and no one's letting them deal with them. Bitcoin, Swift, whatever it may be, nobody's letting them deal. Well, apparently Shell Oil's letting them deal with them. Yeah.
Well, most oil brokers are.
Yeah. But yeah, insignificant is probably the correct descriptor for what it's going to, what kind of effect it's going to have. Crypto exchange Coinbase on Monday blocked over 25,000 Russian-linked addresses that were believed to be linked to illicit activities to comply with the sanctions against Russia. Sure seems like a lot of legitimate, I mean, there's a lot of people in Russia that felt like they were doing legitimate business out there in the global economy that gets swept up in all this. Well, what else do we have on our topic list here? Please feel free to chime in with anything you guys have interest in. There's another article here from last week. I think you provided this link too. The data game, what Amazon knows?
Yeah.
Or did we talk about that last week? Can't remember. A Guardian article that goes in depth into the amount of information that the Amazon corporation is.
Oh, I sent you that the other day.
Well, it's from February 27th. I think we might have talked about it last week a little bit. The data game. And offers suggestions on how to not provide that information to Amazon. Cookie notifications. Still a big deal. Everybody's got to know you're using cookies. this is all talking about Amazon's collection and privacy policies. And actually what it's reminding me is of the Spotify debate, the issues with Joe Rogan and their privacy, their policies only came to light to their creators and their. I'm sorry, I'm feeding back on somebody's speakers. Their creators and their consumers because of the Joe Rogan incident. They had never formally published any policies for what do they call those? Content policies, content quality policies. Yeah. But we only became aware of it because of the controversy with Joe Rogan. Before that, they didn't have anything formal out there for people to look at. I've run out of topics, so I'm just meandering through topics in my brain. I'm sorry you're on the journey with me. We go down the yellow brick road.
I have one.
Please, Cheryl, save me.
If we move on to recommendations, and speaking of Russia, I watched Inventing Anna. I think somebody had recommended it before on here. Inventing Anna, the story of the supposed Russian heiress that frauded people out of money, and there was a court case, she went to jail. So it's based on a true event, but every one of the series openers had somewhere in a billboard or somewhere, this actually happened, except when it didn't. Or, the next one it would say, a true story, except where it's not. So it was a very interesting series, and kind of left your head spinning and wondering what it was really all about.
And some of the history on that, we watched that. I recommended. I think somebody else recommended it. She did a great job. We like her as an actress from Ozark, and she did a great job in this role. It was interesting to see her in a role like this. The backstory that I read about this particular series is that they were not able to buy her story. And so the story is told from the reporter's point of view because they were able to buy Vanity Fair's story. And so that's why it's so much about the reporter doing the investigation, is because they couldn't legally get a hold of Anna's story. They did pay her a fee for her being used in the story, but it's told from the perspective of the reporter. And what I found also interesting is how, I mean, she definitely looks like a fraud, right? She's scamming people. And at one point in this series, Paul, I'm sorry, I'm muting you again because I'm coming across your speakers again. Because she's sitting at a dinner and she's with at least two other well-known fraudsters from that time period. The Pharma Bro is there.
And got them to pay for the meal.
Yeah, you guys remember the guy that bought the medication and jacked up the price 300%, was in the news for a long time justifying why that's okay. So he was at that dinner. I can't remember his name at the moment. And another fraudster, the guy that put on the Fry Festival, which if you're interested in just a fiasco of young, like rich millennials being taken advantage of, that's an interesting documentary on Netflix, this Fry Festival. I think that's what it's called, the Fry Festival. Yeah. And it's just a fiasco. They get thousands of people out on this private island and they have no facilities for them. It was marketed through Instagram and influencer behavior as the hottest place to go and party. It was their own personal Burning Man kind of catered experience. And the people that were in charge of it had no idea what they were in charge of. And I think they had emergency relief out, trying to get people off the island.
Yeah, they had to send boats and people out to get them off the island.
Yeah, just an embarrassing event in our most recent history is how someone could defraud so many people like that. In fact, it was almost the same kind of concept as Inventing Anna. As you're watching this show, you can't tell whether she thinks she's taking advantage of people or if she's just faking it until she can make it.
Yeah.
And I think the Fry Festival was very much that way. A bunch of guys, bunch of bros got together and they got money, they got influence, they thought they could put it together, and it turns out, no, you need professionals that understand how those things work.
Yeah.
You need insurance.
So can I say that I can't remember the name of the airline that we bought tickets on to San Carlos, to Guaymas. But yes, did he mean to take our money and not provide the service, or did he really think that he was going to be able to get it done?
Yeah, right. Regardless, we've given confidence in someone that doesn't have the ability to execute. And so at the very least, whether it was malintentioned or not, it wasn't happening, was it? The airlines to San Carlos wasn't happening. This Fry Festival wasn't happening. It's whether that you get lost in that minutia when you watch this story, right? You can't, she's lying. You figure that out. But what you don't figure out is whether she really thought she was going to be pulling it off or if it was all just for the scam, just for the money.
Well, that's a problem.
And because they didn't have her, she didn't understand what had happened with her parents. Like,
yeah. But it's a great, entertaining story. I'm sorry, Sid, did you have something you wanted to add?
Yeah. NGOs and doing
philanthropy. Yeah. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, she's supposed to be starting this foundation that was going to help and do all this stuff. And that was the scam. And that's a big scam these days. There are groups out there that, we'll take the money and we'll plant trees, or we'll do this, or we'll lobby against the government for pollution and plastic straws. And they know they're not doing anything.
Well, and Sid, just to be clear, her foundation was to start a social club.
Yeah.
Not a nonprofit, but it was all just, it was decadence at the highest level, and she was getting investors to invest in her. Very similar to the Fry Festival.
I'm sorry, I've been dealing with the bycatch thing back home, and we have to deal with that. Like, there's all these Save the Sea Foundation type things out there that are not doing anything. They're just collecting money and putting on dinners. And, the bycatch issue has made it really apparent that they're not doing anything.
Well, in this case, it was her trying to work up investors.
Yeah,
she's trying to get people to put money into them. In fact, in some places, she got money because they thought they had a chance dating her, and so they worked to get her money. It was interesting how many people she frauded, and she frauded experts, people that are supposed to know better. Yeah. Mike Skinner. Hello, Mike. Welcome to our meeting. You're coming at the tail end. We're just winding down, but you're welcome to join us. We're in a section we call recommendations, and we talk about movies, books, TV shows, applications, and websites, anything we think the rest of our group would be interested in. And we've just finished talking about a Netflix series, Inventing Anna. You're welcome to participate just by listening, or if you have anything you'd like to contribute to our meeting, let us know. Have we got any other recommend? Paul, did you have a recommendation?
Yes, I do. You remember I talked about the Norseman series, and now there's another one on Netflix, which is called Viking Valhalla. And it takes place after the Norseman, like 100 years or something like that. And it's about the fact that there was a lot of Norse in England, and the king says,
Ethelred.
What's that?
Ethelred.
Yeah, right.
King Ethelred.
King Ethelred. And he says, I want to get rid of them all. So they have a mass massacre of Norse, and some of them get away and go back to Denmark and Norway. And
So, Paul,
And one of the characters is Leif Erikson from Greenland.
that's right, yeah.
Oh.
One of the
So
Greenlanders.
you mentioned Norseman, but is this a comedy like that was?
No,
Yeah. I think you were talking about the next version of Vikings.
Yeah, Vikings Ragnarok is the next version of Vikings. And if you want better history than that, if you want better history,
Well, this is Viking Valhalla that he's talking about.
That's the continuation of Vikings.
Yeah.
If you want better history, the show's called The Last Kingdom.
Last Kingdom is excellent.
Yep, Bernard Cornwell is one of the greatest historical fiction writers we have right now, and he did an amazing series of books.
Yes, he did.
Okay, but I'm right in thinking they don't have Monty Python comedy in this.
No.
No.
Which The
It's
Norseman
more-
is a great show.
Yeah.
It's the Viking Valhalla and Vikings before that and the Last Kingdom. They're kind of like gory, bloody, kill 'em all.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. And Sid was saying, what's the other
They're
one?
really good at-
Ragnarok is the most recent one?
That is the Vikings Ragnarok is the continuation of Vikings. The Last Kingdom is a completely different series.
Okay,
It
but
sticks to
Yes.
the history of England a lot closer.
We have Vikings Valhalla, and Vikings Ragnarok. Is that right? Is that what you're saying? I've never heard of Vikings Ragnarok.
No,
so
I said that wrong.
I
I'm sorry.
haven't
Vikings Valhalla. It's not Ragnarok.
Okay, yeah, and that's what Paul was recommending, and that's the continuation of the Viking show.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is an awesome show as well. I've never watched The Last Kingdom.
Well,
Really?
we really
No.
hope they come up with another season of Last Kingdom.
Yeah.
Well, Yuya loves it. She was doing Valhalla the other
I'm
day.
like 2 books ahead of the series, and if you haven't done the books, do the books.
I have.
Um,
They're good.
Yeah.
Are
And
these
like
all
I
on
s-
Netflix now?
Yes.
No,
Are they
these
all
are
on-
books.
well, the
Books.
books,
No, but I mean-
the show, The Last Kingdom, is on Netflix.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I always recommend read the books. But no, Bernard
Cornwell has a lot of different historical series, historical fiction.
Yeah.
And a lot of series. So a good writer and lots to read if you like his style.
And usually at the end of the book, this is the best part, tells you who is real, what they did. That's the neat part of it. But the history in The Last Kingdom is a lot closer to what actually happened. Vikings is 900 years condensed into what, 4 seasons, 5 seasons?
Yeah, I didn't get all the way through it. Like I said, Yuya's really into it. I'm like, how come you're so into this? She's like, I'm married to a Viking. And then she gives me these googly eyes.
Mm.
I was like,
I'm like, all right, that's a good reason. That's a good...
Your mother is the same way. We've been watching all of those shows.
Yeah.
They really are excellent, but they're definitely
Terry?
not comedy.
Terry, you get googly eyes too?
That doesn't mean much, but yeah. Normally means it's just time to go to sleep.
Not
I'm of
wait.
Danish descent. Thompson is Danish descent, and I don't remember getting googly eyes when I tell her I'm a Viking.
Nah.
We're talking about
remember, Viking isn't a noun, it's a verb.
There you go.
Verb. I've been Viking today.
Yeah, you're going for an adventure. You're going raiding. You're going to go do some business. You're going Viking.
Let's go Viking.
Yeah.
Hey, have we got any more recommendations before we start winding this meeting to a close? Anything else? The rest of us.
I can
Oh, sure,
share
please,
one
Bob.
well, actually, I've got a couple.
Okay.
And you're probably familiar with both of them. We've gotten into the morning show, which has been around for a while, but it really is an excellent show put out by Apple. We've just started the second season of it, and it's really excellent. Reminds me of the problems they had on the Today Show with Matt Lauer and so forth. It's all about that type of sexual inappropriate behavior and that type of thing. So that's one. The other one we've just we're getting into again is Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. She's on Prime, and we just had to go back and watch the whole thing again. So we haven't even gotten to the fourth season yet, but we're excited about getting
Dr.
it.
Ferrucci.
Excuse me.
I think that just ended Dad's list. Well, those are both great recommendations that I think we've talked about in the past. Is there any other?
Think that,
Go ahead, Joe.
yeah, the morning show, the Cunninghams were watching it, and then I binged it. It was crazy. I think every night I watched about 2 or 3 episodes, and next thing I knew it was after midnight. But the morning show is very, very interesting, well acted, and yeah, well done. Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, is it? Yeah. I started it a couple of times. I think I've watched the first series, episodes 1, 2, and then the next time I watched 2, 3, and then I rewatched. You know, I can't seem to continue with it, but it's pretty good too.
Have we got any other recommendations? Anybody there? Fred, David, Jim, you guys got something you want to add?
Not right now.
Okay. Well, neither do I. I think we're done. We're done with the recommendations. Yeah.
Maybe it's not a technology recommendation, but I know that like Jim and Bill and we've been exploring La Manga and trying out a couple of the different restaurants. And Bill counted, what I think it was 11 establishments in La Manga now that serve food. So
wow.
It's rather interesting to us. We keep talking, and we're treated to a wonderful meal. I understand it's the staff. Well, the person that was working with us was Martine. He's lived in San Carlos for 30 years and worked at Piccolo's for over 20. Yeah. So some long established businesses around here that we're rediscovering.
Piccolo's has always been a favorite of ours. It actually, the menu just hasn't changed very often. It's always exceptional food. But for me, it's always been the same flavors. And I don't think I've been in there since
Mala died.
Yeah, since Mala died.
Well, I had one of the special. Well, we all three had one of the 5 specials of the evening, and mine was a chicken, a breaded chicken, pounded breast or something. Anyway, it had mozzarella cheese and then an apple brandy sauce on the top, which was absolutely delicious. So
yeah, that's
kind of a little different.
That sounds awesome. Well, I have not had restaurants under my list of recommendations, but today I will.
We have now done 3 of the La Manga restaurants, and pretty interesting. They're very good.
Fresh. Can't get fresher seafood.
Yep, that's for sure.
I haven't been yet, but the restaurant in the Bahia has expanded drastically and is just jammed these days.
Are you talking about the Mariscos, the Estorito Dos, I think or is it? No, it's the original, Estorito. Is that the one you're talking about?
Right.
Yeah, I went in there on the weekend a few weeks back with my Mexican family, and we couldn't get a table.
Right. That's the way it is these days.
Just packed.
Boy,
and the guest they have is really nice for out the back if it's high tide.
And for years, Jim, we would go there and sit in an empty restaurant and have the most awesome seafood. by ourselves because no one would be there. It was bizarre to be in there, just overwhelmed with people.
Well, it's like when we went and had breakfast at Los Capitanes. The kitchen economical.
That's true. You know, if we're talking about restaurants, Sid and I just did breakfast over at the Cocina Económica. It used to be over there by Delphines, but they've moved over to the bowling alley strip mall, and it was great. They had exceptional food, and unlike the little place they were in, there's plenty of room to spread out. They had sidewalk cafe going and a large inside room to be in, and just as friendly and family as they ever are.
Yep.
So that's an easy one to recommend. What did you say their name is? I always forget their name.
Los Capitanes.
Say again, Cheryl?
Los Capitanos.
Las Capitanos.
Las Capitanas?
We always just refer to it as Cocina Económica, and yes,
Yeah,
it's
that's
the same
what I always
people
call it.
and fun, and we always sit outside on the sidewalk, and outside on the sidewalk is a fucking bus that's and it's got an awesome rooftop that comes up and a little bit that comes down and makes the shelf, and the young couple that have it are serving seafood, but they're serving lobster rolls and fish and chips. We thought it was like a sandwich bar, but I went up and I talked to them the other day, and they're open most days. They've got the top up, and they're serving on the corner there, right in front of the gazebo, like on the street.
Oh, okay.
Is that the VW van?
There's a VW van right there.
Van?
Okay.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
We'll have to try that.
Yeah. Very cool. We saw that when it was closed when we were there, but we saw the van. It's a fixture in that plaza area.
And today we are heading over to San Jose de Guaymas. We're going to go and show Brother Bob the cordons, which he's seen before, but he really likes that area. And we're going to have lunch at Dona Rosita, is it? I might be saying it wrong.
No, Doña. Yeah, it's something different.
Not Doña Rosita, because that sounds like the name of something.
Doña Rosita is the La Manga, the big La Manga restaurant.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Then it's Dona
Maria's, I think.
Doña Maria.
Maria's. Let me just
Doña
search on
Maria?
Facebook because I have it on that.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Dona. Oh, this is Dona Rosita.
That's true. Well, we're going into Guaymas today, dropping off and picking up kids from school. And a battery, hopefully. Yeah.
Where is it?
Then we can do a recommendation on that place.
That's right.
You said Dona
Well,
Maria? That doesn't sound right.
As Cheryl's looking for that, have we got any other topics we should get out? This meeting is coming to an end. Is there anything else the rest of us should know? Any questions or troubleshooting?
Area,
Say that again, Dave.
Rita.
What was that, Cheryl?
in the restaurant area, there's two surprises for breakfast that are really good that you don't think about. One is Blackie's with the seating outside. The other is the restaurant name I can never pronounce at the old Corralitas,
Macau.
Beach.
Hey, David, it's the Macau Beach Club.
Yeah, Beach Club. And the prices.
I'm
both
sorry,
sides are
Mauca.
reasonable.
I beg your pardon, Mauca.
Yeah.
M-A-U-C-A.
Excellent view.
And you said the prices are really reasonable at Blackie's as well?
Yeah, Blackie's, it's in the normal, I'd say the lower of the pricing group.
Well, that's good to keep in mind. Cocina de Rita, that's the one you were talking about there in Jose?
Oh.
I think she's talking about what I call Maria's.
Cocina de Rita, it says.
Oh.
Right in the square at San Jose.
Dory.
No, it's Cocina de Rita. La Cocina de Rita is the restaurant that we go to on the square in San Jose de Guaymas. And you can find it on Facebook.
Very cool. This has been a lot of fun. I've got a big list of restaurants now. And so Sid and I are going to leave you and go find lunch somewhere.
Yeah, we'll have a taco.
Everybody.
Hopefully, we'll have a taco rojo.
Until next Tuesday, you guys all tech on.
Tech on.
Adios, Fred. Adios, Paul. Talk to you later, Jim. Talk to you later, Pop.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye-bye. Adios.
See you later.
Okay.
Jim's walked away from his computer.
Yeah, I guess Jim's done.
Oh.
Goodbye, Jim. We're leaving. We'll see you next Tuesday, if not sooner.
See you next Tuesday. Thanks, guys.
Later.
Take care.
Bye, Jim.
Pop, did you
Bye,
need
Terry.
to talk to me about something?
I was just curious about BB's bird.
Oh, yeah, it passed away.
It did, huh?
Yeah.
Did
Yeah,
you
it was
know why?
sick. It was sick for a number of days. Well, it got sick, and it's so little. And the problem with the birds are that you just don't know until it's too late.
Yeah, I bet.
And yeah, so it was very sad. It was pretty traumatic for her.
I can't even imagine how she handled that.
Yeah.
It's got to be tough. By the way, Sid, I like your look.
Oh, hang on. Let me grab the razor and show it to you.
He's bought himself.
So, have you firmed up your travel plans yet?
I haven't, but I will this week. That's my plan.
I got to wondering if you wanted me to just go ahead and buy the tickets for you.
Well, you know what stumbled me was the idea of spending some time in Oregon. I guess I'm not even ready to try and figure out how to put that together, though I think it would be a good idea.
All right. Well, I can work on that.
So this is the unit. Let me hold up the camera here. It's got, there we go.
Yeah, there you go.
It's got the 6 rotating heads. It's just a little.
And it's spring loaded, so he pops it on his head and it molds to this.
Yeah, each of the heads are on the sides are spring loaded.
I'm sorry, my camera's swapping over to that one. Let me turn off the automatic change.
The heads flex, and then it.
There. Now you should be able to sit in front of it.
Just get on it like that. I can go all the way down here. And if you're gonna keep it smooth, these are one of the ones you need.
What's the brand now?
I think you muted you, Dad.
I didn't. No, you don't have your headsets in.
Oh, I keep forgetting.
What's the brand, Sid?
I can read well up.
I'll tell you what. I'll send you the link to the Amazon ad. I got it off.
Okay.
We'll include it in the show notes too. Go ahead, Pop.
I have 2 razors that have 3 of those heads like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I use those pretty regularly, but I'm still not satisfied with it. So I'm really intrigued by this one.
I've had the Remingtons.
About it.
Yeah, I've used the Remingtons and the Bronze, and this right now is my favorite. There's a couple better brands out there, I guess, but these guys have been great right off the bat. They sent me a letter.
Let me see the name of it. As long as we're still on air, let's see what it is.
There's one called a Pitbull. That's supposed to be a better model, but these guys right off the bat sent me a letter and said, "Contact us. Here's the URL. Here's the code. Contact us about this, and we'll send you a whole nother head with it." The razor heads, and they're barely trying to clean it. So I've got this, and I suck 8-inch long hair mustache hairs that are equivalent to number 2 wire.
Man, I found it. I don't know how to say it. It's like aid all swell up.
How to swell up.
Like I could change it into three words. Aid all's well up. 4 words.
Oh, they got a scalp massager in the kit too.
If you're still looking at my screen, Pop, this is the website for it.
Oh, I see. $8 well up.
Yeah.
All right.
They've got a couple different models.
All right. Well, I will look for that.
Yeah, it's a neat little thing, and it seems to work. So far, it's worked pretty well. I haven't used any of the attachments really.
I like how it's got these buffers for when you shave it all down and then you can chrome it up. Just
Oh yeah, no, the little rubber one's great. It's a scalp massage. Yeah, I've played with that a little bit. It's kind of, you got a headache back there, you just kind of.
Well, Pop, we'll let you
Scott,
go.
I've still got the dates you sent me, so I'll see what I can put together. Maybe I'll see about adding a few days in Portland and see how that works, and then.
I'd be interested in doing it, but I don't even know who I should contact. I know I won't have a car or a place to stay, so I just need to be in contact with the relatives that would care to help me do it on those dates.
Well, it'd definitely be your Aunt Linda, but I think I'm thinking Moholt, Ron and Linda, but I'm sure there'd be others like Linda Stimpson, Jane Stimpson, and so forth. So there's plenty of interest.
And we would have time. It's Emily and I that would be coming back together, and she's not limited by a time. She's not starting school again until 2023, January of 2023. So we're not under. We're not under a hurry to get back.
So Yuya and Bibi are coming back earlier then. You're not coming back all together. Okay, I misunderstood that. All right. Well, maybe you just don't, I'll be honest, care that much about whether you stop by then if you don't have the rest of your family.
Yeah, I think it would be interesting for Emily because she's 16 years old. And so she would probably appreciate spending some time in Portland, maybe getting to meet cousins and things like that, just because she hasn't had a lot of that experience as a young adult. But yeah, my concern was just how do I even go about starting to put that together, because I wasn't sure who would be interested in hosting us and how we'd get around.
I'll put it together. So, have you ever been to Jane's place?
Hey, speak of the devil.
Hi.
Hello there.
Let me plug in our speakers. Hey, you know what else? We're still on YouTube. Hold on a second, you guys. This is Scott Stimson from International Computer Solutions ending this YouTube video. If you liked these videos and are interested in what we do, check out scclub.org. There's links to it all there. And if you need computer help, well, get a hold of me, Scott at internationalcs.net. Until next Tuesday, tech on.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
All right.
Who's that beautiful girl behind you?
Let's